Oh, let's see here. Testing, 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 one, two, three. I hope that I'm coming in here. There we go. Music is fine. Testing. There we are. There we are. All right. Seeing how this works out here. Just really a test, really a test of my abilities here. I don't have the ability on my phone yet, but I have it here. I've just entered this realm here. I don't know what the hell is going on. One day I was walking around Faerun, and now I am here. I don't know what's going on here. I'm in some old man's body, just doing I was casting all kinds of spells. It was a higher level spell, a 10th level spell. And now I find myself in this place of a burden, really, well, I guess I could tell tales here, um, to tell you tales of turning back. In many ways, the Forgotten Realms really are very similar to Earth and probably around the 13th and 14th centuries. Until recently, much of the area was wild forests, unsettled grassland. I don't even know if this is on here. Let me see. Is this thing on? Yes, it is. Unsettled grasslands. Yeah, much of the area was wild and very unsettled. Civilization really still a novelty. It still was a novelty. The birth of the oldest cities in the inland. Let me see here. I gotta share this here. Let me see. Invite. Yes, I want to share. I have copy link. Let me put this on my Discord. Let me see. I have someone asked me to share this with them. Just one moment here. Oh, the D&D. Where's D&D? D&D right here. There we are. There, live wizard. There he is. Live wizard. All right. All right. That is on. The wizard speaks here. All right. Yeah. So as I was saying here, I've been trapped into this body, coming to you from the Forgotten Realms. Faerun's people, they shape the mindsets of advancements of, what you could say would be considered 13th century Earth. The mindset. City states are common, organized nations rising, where wilderness is pushed back, farming and craft and industry. Skills are widespread. Swords and heavy metal are readily available. Often, too often, people put them to use, right? We all know this is various problems in various, realms with warfare, as it is called. I just, I make my way around. Civilization is a novelty, really. The births of the oldest cities in the inland sea, even the founding of Waterdeep. Good to see you, our good friend here, the Vixen. I will go ahead and make you a moderator here if you are interested, because I know you are a moderator in my human form, that you are good at it. Standard moderation, there you are. Yes, I am here doing my wizardly thing as you see the appearance here. Um, it is good to see you, my friend. Now, fair. Back to all of these things, literacy, and the quest for knowledge, continues to advance civilizations. This is the way of all things, right? Especially in Faerun. Recent innovation of the printed handbills has transformed alleys and walls and Waterdeep as markets. Um, Resources discovered, the merchant classes grow in both wealth and power, though not as dominant as it is like in your world of Earth, which I am just a passerby, just a passerby in this world. That's all I really. The realm folk pay much homage to many deities, much like your primitive societies, right? there where you all are in this realm of earth. We have many, many deities. There are a tremendous difference between the world of the realms and the world of earth, really. There are monstrous beasts, evil humanoids, prowl the wilderness, sometimes to the very outskirts of cities and settlements. Travel, whether by land or sea, can be treacherous. Yes, indeed. Most differently, the realms have magic. Some say magic or the art was a gift of the realm folk from the goddess Mistra, who is my goddess, of course, because I am a wizard. I have all of these powers and things. I could shoot lightning bolts out of my fingers when I get upset. It's good for constipation too. You with or without Mistra's blessing, some individuals study the art, right? These wizards have learned the ability, really, to channel magical energies. And only wizards handle extraordinary power. I must boast, right? The gods here, they allow believers to work miracles in their names. Priests and clerics perform acts of healing and power. Our modern world might call sorcery. In the realms, such mages and priests can alter the very face of the world, really. Indeed, they have done so for over the millennia. Mountains may walk, and hills and forests appear where none stood before. In the heart of the realms, in immense sandy waste spreads southward, equally relentless glaciers advance to the east. Kings rise and nations fall, evil forces gather like thunderheads, and the need for valiant action calls heroes forth. I mean, this is the same in many realms, right? Snacks for the talents of law, yes. Good to see you, our good friends. You've come to receive the knowledge of the wizard here. I am only a guest here in this realm, practicing this out here. Telling my stories that I've acquired in my journeys in the great world of Torel. Making my way in life, really, as any other wizard would do, right? Now, some of you have probably never heard of Torel. You've probably never heard of Faerun. It is quite wise. But I thought I would introduce you to a group of adventurers called, very dear to my heart. They are called the Seekers. The Seekers were in cautious and dangerous time situations. And we have these individuals, for instance. There's one individual of the Seekers. He is named Bolblim Barbrost. He is a gnome illusionist. He comes from the annals of the Seekers, written by many Faerun arcanas. Balbum Barist is one of the most interesting and strangest individuals I have met in my drinking establishments that I have across Faerun. I am an entertainer. Good to see you, Iceland and Maple. Good to see you. He amuses patrons by performing feats of dexterity, jungling and doubling by his enchantments, his illusions in exchange for ever going bar tabs, really. When performing, Bobum dresses in a blaringly colorful clothing, ornamental in tinkling bells and various other trinkets. While adventuring, he has a sense to dress appropriately and displays considerable wisdom, I would have to say, this gnome fellow that I am aware of, right? Good to see there's a person named Jesus here. We have a Jesus like that in our realm here, Lathander. But Boblum, he is very cautious and dangerous minded, really. However, he cannot be controlled by his obsession for practical jokes, with Lorik being the primary agent. I will tell you about Lorik soon. Through minor illusions and mundane pranks, Boblum loves to get a rise, as out of that Shirley Dorf Rorik, One of these days, Boblem will likely get more than he bargained for, just as Samkin. Well, tell you about Samkin later. From what Boblem has told me, he was separated from his family many winters ago during ultimate war between humans and goblins that rolled across the homeland, causing much confusion. And though he wants to find his family, the gnome does not seem concerned about commencing his personal quest. He has been with us, the Seekers from the beginning, and he plans to remain long enough so he can tell stories to the family. Now, the gnome folk in general, they are really an interesting people. They come from another realm, just as I am from another realm, possessing this body here, of this meager human of your earth plane here, to tell you my tales, really. Now, though this seems strange to me, I suppose it is quite typical of gnomes that they seem to twist whatever struggles of fate that bring them a happy ending. After all, Baldwin will be happy when he is reunited with his family. And the stories, the gnome folk, they really have lots of things to tell us. I got the magical beverage here, really. And it's good to see all of these wonderful people here coming to listen to an old wizard tell his stories. Now, gnomes are short. They really are. Friendly race, common in most of the realms, smaller and less stocky than dwarves. They are thought to be distant relatives, though among gnomes, only men have beards. The females, they do not have beards. Now, this is a joke, right, for the dwarven folk, that some of their females have beards. Well, some of them do, right? But not with the gnomish folk. The females, they do not have the beards. Now, regardless of age, gnome faces are creased with smile and frown lines, is carved from wood. Their natural skin coloring from light ash to maple tone to warm darkness, varnished and buffed oak, increasing the tendency to think that gnomes are wood folk. But no, 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 no. No, 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 no. Gnomes seem unbothered by the world and only really become involved with it. They have no written history. They prefer to keep records only in memory of the eldest clan members and the songs of legend. Oh my! Gnomes value their family first. Whatever relatives they encounter, the other gnomes, finally the world in that order. They really have their priorities straight. Are good gnome folk. So that's a little bit about gnomes. Now I want to tell you about Esther Starchild. Now, she is something of a unique, a very beautiful lady. She is an elven priestess. Uh, Esther Starchild is a moon elf. Her skin is the color of snow. If you have ever seen, now these elven folk, they have all different types of, shades and languages and things amongst themselves. Her hair is very enchanting. Blue black shade, motes of golden adorn her dark eyes, like the early morning sky with the faintest traces of yellow stars. Now she possesses a majestic, exquisite beauty that holds my gaze, oh my, and my heart. Oh, alas, only this journal that I am sharing with you knows my true feelings that I once had for her, but I have moved on. I'm several thousand years old. What can I say? The elves, they live forever. So, if they are not destroyed, obviously, but, unfortunately, my friend, I don't want to ruin the ending. We'll get there eventually. But, the relationship I had with Esther is obviously um, not around anymore, right? Now, Starchild, as she is sometimes referred to, chose not to make the retreat to Evermeet. Now, Evermeet is a place where all the elven folk go. That's a long story. I'll get to it eventually. Now, she told me that the goddess Selune has other plans for her and requires Esther to remain in the realms. Now, this gladdens my heart at the time. This was a long time ago, several hundred years ago. Um, Perhaps when the fateful day arrives that she must finally depart, as I thought at the time, might be allowed to make the journey with her. Now, I have faith that both Mistra and Selune will hear my prayers. Obviously, they are both wonderful goddesses. Mistra is she is the goddess of magic, of course, and I, of course, am a wizard. So many wizard folk, Mistra is our goddess. Selune she is you look up at the sky, right? You see the moon. That is Selune. She is the lady of light, the lady of the seven stars. Oh, she has so many names. This great goddess now, Selune. Now, whenever possible, Star Child sets out alone upon the moonlight. She walks, which she calls the night stalks, to commune with her goddess. Only twice has she invited me to join her, and I cherish those memories of those peaceful walks, for without them, we are seldom apart from company. Oh man, this was so long ago. You're really warming the heart of a great wizard here by sharing these things with you. So many stories, right? Now, perhaps next walk, I will have the courage, I thought, to tell her of my love. She never got to hear. Now, that's the story, right? Which I will be getting to. Now, the elves. If you don't know about elves, the pointy-eared folk, the elves are ruled large portions of the realms. They were here before the humanoids, long before. After the time of dragons, before the coming of humans, elven people numbered in the realms they've since dwindled as the majority have retreated before the onslaught of mankind, seeking quieter forests and so on and so forth. Um, Elves are of human height, but much more slender with light, strong bone. Their delicately tempered fingers and hands are half again as long as those of humans. And now, elven faces are thin and serene. Their ears are pointed. Elven lifespans are counted in centuries, not in mere decades. There are 5 known elven subraces in the Forgotten Realms, and 4 of them live in relative harmony. You have the Gold Elves, also called Sunrise Elves or the High and Mighty Elves. They tend to be recognized as the most civilized of the elven subraces and most aloof from mankind. They are kind of uppity in a way, as some of you humans would say on Earth. Now, Moon Elves, they are often called Silver or Gray Elves. They are more tolerant of humans than the other elven subraces, really. Now, uh, now the wild elves, the woodland elves, sometimes they are called. They are known as the green elves, the forest elves, or the wood elves. They are reclusive and distrusting of non-elves. Some of them are quite racist, if I would say anything about it. These wild elves. Some of they don't like to be around humans, really. They like to be in their little elfin trees and things. And then you have the sea elves. They have web feet and hands, along with the ability to breathe air, and seldom encounters with humans with their aquatic domains. And then, last of least, the dark elves. They also call them the drow or the night elves, and most sinister and evil of the elven races. Most have been driven underground and are shunned by other elven subraces. Yeah, there's quite a bit of racism, just as in my world as there is in yours, against darker folk. Now, some of the great heroes. Oh, that's a tale from another time. I was going to talk to you about Drizzt Do'Urden. He's a wonderful dark elf from the land of Icewind Dale. But that's a tale for another day. I'm just telling you about the Seekers today, really. Now, let's see here. Now, Star Child is certainly devout, as I said. She's a devout priestess, and among we've all admired her in her ways. Now we have another gentleman. He is a half elf mage priest among the Seekers. His name is Foran Arcanus. Now I myself, I am what I am. I, Some say that I have no age, that I've always been around, that I've been a traveler. That is just, I've never met my parents. Some say Mistra is my parent. I don't know. Now, this Arcanist gentleman, this half elven fellow, now, wherever I get close to finding him, he always eludes me. He has quite something with this skill of stealth, and I hope that is not intentional. Now, Star Child assures me only that when the time is right, my path will cross with him to see where we're at. Now, I was raised by a foster mother in Waterdeep, the city of splendors. Oh my! In that fabulous place, I learned the art and became a priest of Mistra, or Arcanist, or a mage, or wizard, whatever you want. I got a little bit of mixture of everything. There's no level point for me. I just keep going up, 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 up. Now, she is the goddess of magic. I usually wear her symbol, a blue star tattoo upon my brow, but you don't see that now because of my hair is so long. Now, it was also in Waterdeep that I met, Starchild, who I spoke of, Waterdeep. She joined the Seekers, and at her urging, and with permission of my order, of course, this was without doubt the wisest decision of my life. Thoughts of this adventures yet to come and the future of Starchild set my heart ablaze at the time. Now, I have taken it upon myself to keep a record of the journey which I am sharing, obviously, with you here. I believe an accurate account of importance, but as I assure you, in the information concerning many of the varied forgotten realms and a warning against the frequent dangers. Now, let me tell you about the half elven folk. Now, half elves are a mixture of human and elf, obviously. They are more slender than humans, yet stockier than elves, though many may not have pointed ears. All elves have the elf's finely chiseled facial features. It is possible for a half elf to pose either as fully human or fully elf, but usually such a ruse is soon discovered. Half elves are not a true race, and as have no national or racial heritage beyond that of the area in which they were raised. A half elf raised in an elven court thinks like an elf, while one from Cormia, for example, thinks as a human. Now, moon elves tend to be pale with just a touch of blue around them, the ears and chin, the gold, the bronze skin. The wild half elves are very rare, since the woodland elves are quite racist. You can't stand. Oh, don't get me started. These woodland folk. I've had so many difficulties with them, right? Now, commonly, the sea elves, which is very rare, do you find a half elven sea elf. It is out there. Drow half elves are also very rare because the Drow are very racist elves themselves, because of all of the struggles they have, and their goddess is terrible, right? So we'll talk about the Loth at another time. Now, going back to this Lork, this dwarven warrior fellow, he is quite robust. From what I have observed in a short time that I have known him, Lorik is quite typical of his race, sullen and quick to anger, yet beneath his stern exterior, I have glimpsed the noble heart of a warrior and a loyal companion. Of all the members of the company of adventurers, I would most readily place my safety in the rugged hands of this quiet dwarf. Now, from the few occasions when Lork has told me of his past, I have learned that his homeland is in Adebrarum, a subterranean realm beneath the citadel of Aberam. He became an outcast due to his transgression and other against the teachings of Moradin, Soulforger, ruler of the Dwarven gods. Lorak will not speak of this wrongful act. He is quite ashamed, whatever it might be. I think it is quite unfortunate that he would be subject to such a things. But the things are the way they are. What can you do, right? What can you do of such a situation now? I suspect he is innocent, whatever he has done. It is difficult to imagine, right? Now, this noble dwarf committing any crimes against his kind, right? You know of the elven prejudice. I see that right there. A lot of you have experienced that as you have made your way through various realms. I could see, I can relate to that. It's such a tragedy that we experience. Now, however, against his enemies, particularly goblins, now, Loric's anger comes quite quickly. You don't want to piss off a dwarf. That's all I have to say. They get quite grumpy, our dwarven friends. Now, I remember well the day when we came upon a band of goblin cutthroats. Loric demanded to enter alone, and he scarcely an hour he had returned dripping with gore and grinding broadly. Now I think upon it, I believe that the only time I have seen this fierce dwarven warrior smile. Yeah, he is quite the brute, quite the violent folk, I would have to say. Now, dwarves, if you don't know about dwarves, some of you don't know about dwarves. Oh, my music. Let me go back here. I don't want this. Go back to my music, please. There we go. I want my proper music on here. There we go. All right. Now, dwarves are short, obviously, like gnomes. Let's see. In your realm, dark owls are usually the butt of everyone's joke, but it seems they are racist in this realm. Yes, there's so much of it, right? It is everywhere. Yeah, you should see over by the Moon Sea. Oh my, there's some towns over there that do not allow even half elven folk or anything. They are quite, but that's a tale for another day. As I was saying, dwarves are short, they are stocky, they look as if they have sprung from the earth. Their skin tones range from shades of hue from earth to granite gray. Now, both dwarven males and females, as I said, they have the beard. Uh, though females, influenced by humans, they usually shave it off. There's nothing like seeing a wonderful dwarven female with a long flowing beard. Oh, it just gets me going. It just gets me going. Now, for ages, the dwarves have engaged in wars bordering on the genocidal, fighting against races, particularly orcs and goblins, who sought the same caverns and mines. Now, the dwarves are considered their homes. They are underground folk. Unlike goblin races, however, the dwarvens are slowly to recover their populations. They have a hard time breeding. If you don't mind me saying, they don't have enough magic for the lower region to get it all working. That is one of the weaknesses of dwarves, because they are, I'll just tell you a little bit of history. They come from another world, and their world they were able to breed. Here they are not. Now, as a result, dwarfs tend to be melancholy and defeative. However, many find their relief in the crafts and adventure. Most dwarfs remain secret about their homelands. Their small kingdoms are known only in general fashion. Commonly, dwarfs identify home as their long abandoned or enemy occupied hold, such as the dwarfs that were of Hammer Hall or the Iron House, who have been driven out of the mines of Tethethmar. Now, dwarfs remain deeply tied to a sense of family and nobility as the race declines. Now, as to they are well treated with respect despite any long running feuds between dwarven kings. Now, finally, deep beneath the surface of Faerun dwells a race of twisted dwarf-like creatures called the Duragar. Surface dwarfs despise them with hatred that exceeds the hatred of elves for the drow. I don't blame them. The Duragar, they are quite something in the way that they treat. They are quite shrewd businessmen, but other than that, I wouldn't want to associate with them. Oh, let's see what you long beards, braided and braided, really bring out their lovely eyes. Oh, certainly. The diversity of elves makes up for a lot of friction. Though elves who live to 1,000 years often look down upon the shorter living elves. Yes, you seem to know of the problems that we have here in the Forgotten Realms. The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit also had a lot of prejudice. Oh my. Even in Skyrim, too. Oh my. All of these problems with elven racial difficulties. Who is going to stand up for the justice of them? The Witcher, the woodland elves were also heated. Yeah. Well, I don't blame the woodland elves here. They are terrible. They are terrible. I wouldn't want to eat dinner with them. Now, I want to tell you about a good friend of mine. He is named Samkin Silvertooth. He is a halfling thief. He is quite skilled. It is often kind of a generalization, really, that halflings are all thieves. They are not, but they are quite skilled at it if they choose that profession. That is something that they are quite well at. Now, Samkin is not is so uppity as most halflings are. This is due to part of his acquisition of the name Silvertooth. His front teeth are made of silver. He lost his original teeth to the mouth smash fist of an enraged dwarf, upon whom had he played an elaborate trick, really. Samkin has sworn never to raise the ire of another dwarf, and often warns Bolbim, Borbost, amongst the Lorik there. Now, Bolbim ignores his pleas with his ever present smirk. Now, Samkin awaits the day he helps pick the gnome's teeth up off the ground. He doesn't really like the gnome. Now, Samkin's talent is superstitiously gaining wealth, and it really amazes me. It seems that after every successful adventure, the halfling comes away with more than his share of booty. This bothers me just a little, for money is not what motivates me. It does not mean to imply that Samkin only steals from us. I suppose he would describe it as discreetly borrow. When you have a halfling say, "I want to discreetly borrow," that means they have already taken your things. Yeah. Oh man, the poor elves. Yes, the woodland elves are the ones that the acid witch was talking about in that song. So you have songs in your realm about these woodland elves. Yeah. But you see, halflings, they are the smallest of the major races and resemble little street urchins wise beyond their years. They have light coverings of hair down all over their bodies, most noticeably on their backs of their hands and the tops of their bare feet. Their faces are usually bare, though they are more than a full bearded halflings as well. Halflings live by the old saying, first there were dragons, then dwarves, then elves, then humans. Now it's our turn. Now, this attitude that all turn out to their benefit, served up with a silver platter or no less, is typical of the halfling mindset. Cocksure, confident, and more than a streak of larceny. Now, though halflings look like small human children, their bellies, the belies the fact that their race has the same basic needs of any other. They live in many of the same areas as mankind, and many are considered a competitor, as opposed to being openly hostile. However, halflings have this smug, far-sighted attitude, that of a lumbering giant humans, will eventually leave, destroy themselves, or give themselves up to whichever realms will be theirs. Now, from this, one should not make the mistake of believing halflings to be evil, for this would do nothing to harm another unless they had to. The tendency in them is to take advantage, is very strong. Now, halflings are delighted by the concept of money, a human invention, really, which goes a long way towards redeeming the race in their eyes. They delight in the gathering bunches of money, but unlike the dwarves and their ancient hordes, halflings do not see the point of keeping it. They are unwise spenders, really. They would much rather, fritter the money away on gifts and parties and purchases. For these little folk, money is just a way of keeping score, really, of how well you are doing against the lumberous human races, as they say. Yes, they are quite interesting. Yeah, these halflings. Oh my, it is good to see all of you here. The best D&D lore reflects reality. Same way the best stories, the best movies have a little bit of throw in the fiction. Real life is the best inspiration, certainly, certainly. And in that, I want to tell you about Trothagar. He is a human ranger. Trothagar is a burly human with brilliant red hair and a beard. He was born in the Moonshae Isles, the offspring of the Northman raider and a maiden of the Furfolk. Having lived with each people for a time, he displays a strange mixture of two cultures, the ferocity and bloodlust of the barbaric Northmen, and the love of nature, which is typical of the gentlefolk. Now, Thorgar is without doubt the leader of the company, the Seekers that I am speaking to you of. His wisdom and courage has gotten us out of so many dangerous situations. He can be quite stubborn, however, expecting his orders to be carried out without debate. Don't argue with him. He doesn't like that, right? Um, he when he blows when it begin to fall. He is really good at these things. He is a huge humanoid with a human man, who many call the Thunderer. He shouts at command. I find even myself acting without thinking. Thuragar has a way of instinctively knowing what to do, and brings this out in the rest of the company. Though I respect him for his talents, Thuragar is no gentleman with regard to women, a trait of northern blood, I am sure. Fortunately, he seldom makes these advances towards the only real lady in the group, Starchild. Uh, she remains a lot to him, and so I sense a spark between them, a spark that must be extinguished. Thorokar's motivations for leading the Seekers seems to be a desire to gather booty and fame for himself. While there's certainly nothing wrong with these aims, my goals tend to be a little less materialistic, as you could say. And yet I sense a greater substance to Thuragar's action, particularly in regard to his sensitivity for woodland creatures and the purity of the wilderness and things. I suspect he raids the layers of evil creatures, not merely for their booty, but to cleanse the world of their presence. Yes. Now, some of you are obviously, um, all of you, really. Maybe some of you are human. I don't know. I am just in this human form in your realm to tell you these stories. Now, the most populous and strong and major race in Torel, humans are considered dominant. Humanity is one of the most aggressive races, equal to goblins, I would say, in ferocity, and dwarves in their single-minded drive that rouses them to battle. Really. Let's see here, Gwendolyn. Good to see you. Oh shoot! Oh damn it! I didn't mean to do that. Let me get you back. Uh, uh, let's see here. No, I want to add as a moderator. Standard moderator. There we go. That should fix it. Damn it! I didn't mean to do that. I hope. Yeah. Let's see if that brings you back. The user's message will be hidden. No, it will not. Damn it! Oh man. Unhide user. Oh, there we go. That should do it. Hopefully that brings you back, Gwendolyn. I didn't mean to do that. I cannot see. There you are. You are there. I see. I apologize. I apologize. Let me put you back. I wanted to add you as a moderator, not ban you. There. Now you have returned to your proper status. I apologize. Now going back to humans. See, humans make mistakes, right? We all make these mistakes that are here. Now, there always seemed to be some place in the north where one group of humans, often the not with non-human allies, fights another group of humans, also with non-human allies. The dwarfs shrug that humans' lives are short and they do not matter to them, while the elves say humanity has not yet figured out how to communicate properly. Yeah, we are considered, quite primitive, right? Quite primitive. We are. Um, Humanity has no sub-races, as all nationalities could, interbreed without difficulty, and their children, and like elves, may have the traits of either or parents. After a time, any removed group of humans has its own identity, which changes in a few generations with the introduction of new settlers and invaders. Um, Humankind's attitudes range from beatific to diabolical. Its greatest advantage are the persistence and adaptability and potential, which raises the question: will there be any room left for other races in the Forgotten Realms? It begs the question. Now I've introduced you to the party. I want to tell you about their journey. So you've met all of the seekers. You've met all of the seekers. Now, from the annals of these great adventurers, the seekers, I said my farewells to my friends in Waterdeep when I began my journeys with them. My adopted mother, she was tearful and worrisome. I believe she does not expect to see her son again at the time. But I've been around, 1,000 years or so. But well, for the journey, she does what mother does. Now, the seekers plan to travel the realms extensively, without as many of its wonders at the time of fate will allow. Really, our adventuring company, was quite new, as such as parties go, and we remain untested in that time. Indeed, I believe I speak for all the others in that matter. I felt we had a great potential to leave our names upon the companies, emblazoned upon the history of the Forgotten Realms. Glorious deeds await, right? Now, I took it to the future with open eyes and a hungry heart. Though we are untested, we didn't at least have our first commission. Through a friend of Torthagar, we were able to acquire a contract for us with the High Moon Trading Coaster, a merchant company of good repute, a caravan that guards. We're traveling up to north to Neverwinter, so we were going to be guards. Something quite simple, something quite easy, really. Well, this is certainly no glorious quest, but it was a beginning, really. I am steeled to reality. We are desperate need of funds at that time. Finances, our travels beyond Neverwinter really would be quite the expense. Now, besides, the road north is smooth and it makes for easy traveling. The threat of bandits is great. Yeah, there's always these bandits, right? All over these realms, these bandits they are right. There are bandits that like to steal clothing rather than the coin. They are out there, right? These bandits, folks, right? Now, for our part of the merchant's first line of defense, that's what we were. And we agreed to safeguard their wares with our very lives. Now, Sam Kim Thorgar and I spent such a much a day purchasing various items of equipment needs for the first leg of our journey, including horses, provisions, basic gear. We agreed to pay for such things out of our company's group fund. We had also agreed to split the magical and monetary treasures we acquired on equal shared basis. Now, we respect to divide the money. The group funds considered to have one share, which funds could be used by any member. We had what is called community loot. Not always a good thing when you have a halfling in that party, like to put their greedy little fingers in there and steal from the community chest there. Oh my, let's see what's going on here. It's good to see all you wonderful people here listening to your stories of adventuring companies, really. Now, adventuring companies, they are bands of adventurers. They are commonplace in the realms, tolerated, occasionally encouraged in most areas. They have a long tradition. Certain lands, such as Cormyr, require companies to have a royal charter if they are to operate therein. Others, like Arm, forbid adventurers altogether within their borders. I mean, quite unfortunate, right? Now, adventuring groups are established, they vanish, and they change names, haunts continually. The Seekers are only one band. Some others you might have heard, the Blue Blades. Some of you have heard of the Blue Blades, perhaps, or the Company of the Wolf. This small band of adventurers operates out of Nesemi in the Evermoors of the North. They are expert woodsmen and trackers, and known in the North well, tangling with others, with the orcs and the wild beasts um, of the forest. Yeah, my beard's taking over my life here, with all of its demands of grooming and stuff. I can't even get my mouth straight in it anymore. It's like you're taking me over. I'm sure some of you have got that. You got stuck in a dungeon. Oh my! You are preparing a baby dragon. Look at you. That you have all found your magic in life. The Blue Blades took care of the rats in your basement. Oh my! Oh my! They are making a name for themselves. These Blue Blade fellows. Now there's the Halfling Inc., the Halfling Incorporated, one of the few well-known groups of non-human adventurers. This party is entirely Halfling. They have gained notoriety through the Sea of the Falling Stars with their adventures and con games, more than our large folk, and have been holding gem bags filled with rocks. That is their signature. And one of my favorite groups, the Knights of Myth Draenor. Now, these adventurers first came to prominent rulers of Shadowdale, successfully defying the armies of Sentel Keep. They were instrumental in defeating Lashan in Scardale, and remain able foes of the Zentarum and of the Drow beneath the inner sea lands. Yeah. Um, Now, there's also a group called Maine's Band. Originally from Shadowdale, this group of 10 adventurers turned around the charismatic local war hero. Uh, his name is Maine, of a black-bordered man of middle years. Over time, uh, one member had deserted the group and two have been slain. The band nearly met the collective doom, and Yorwood, scattered by many fearsome beasts in the summer. A red wizard of Thay took them out, no problem. Almost a year later, the group reinforced and reformed, and they repopulated their numbers. Now they are believed to still wander the wilderlands, just east of the Busi. Yeah. Oh man. So maybe you are all interested, perhaps, in forming your own adventuring bands as you move around the realms, you move around wherever you are. You can see all this garbage here in the background, these humans, piles of paperworks and things. Look at all that stuff. Now, these humans are quite untidy, I would have to say, but they've been very considerate in letting me borrow the body of this gentleman here, who seems to be quite well knowledge and of good manners. You accept the elixir made will give you a butt plug that bites. Oh my, that sounds like some of the sometimes we have these problems with what are called mimics. And I can only imagine a butt plug that is a mimic would cause quite an uncomfortable situation down below there. So I'm concerned for you. Mimics are terrible creatures. They're often tricksters, right? They pretend they are treasure chests, right? And you go to open the treasure chest, and all of a sudden you're being engulfed by a creature. So I can only imagine the discomfort of your butt plug coming alive to you in your anus. What a horrible source of a lack of pleasure, really. How do you deal with it? What is my wizard name? I don't remember. I have lost my memory. I just have all of these. See, uh, I died in pieces of myself, because what I do know is I am a chosen of Mistra, and we chosen a Mistra. We don't die. We break into many, many pieces, and we go out to various realms, and we eventually we reconstitute ourselves. So I know I was a wizard that walked through the lands of Faerun, doing all kinds of fun things, and leading parties and dungeons and things of that nature. But I don't have a name yet. It does not come to my memory. So I'm still seeking that out to see if it is possible. The butt plug mimics available at 75 gold pieces for one, but you can get two for 130 gold pieces. Now that is a deal. Um, I'm sure that you find great entertainment with that. Yeah, get that biting blood plaque trademark in your realm. Now, another interesting group called the Nine. This powerful, long lasting band of adventurers wandered the realms for over 30 years. The Nine was said to be maintained a subterranean stronghold just east of Waterdeep on the banks of the Unicorn Run. Now, where they were led by the mighty mage called Lariel, now known as the magical item she created later in her career, right? Now, the Nine had links to the Harpers, a wonderful organization that I seem to have fond memories of. I don't know why. Maybe I was a Harper. I don't know. To the Lords of, and also to the Lords of Waterdeep. But they've not adventured in public for many years now. They're kind of like the masked lords of Waterdeep. Waterdeep, all of their leadership is hidden. Nobody knows who they are, except they have one like representing them. That's. I'll tell you about Waterdeep one night. I have so many tales to share here. They are reclusive, yes. Now they are rumored to be very rich. The Nine, needing to work only when they please, and hence they have largely vanished from public memory, save L'Oreal herself. She went on to be someone of such fame. Perhaps I will share a story of her in the future. Now, there's also a group called the Savage Seven, an adventuring band of active in the north against giants. They can be quite a nuisance. Giants, they always, it seems like they are lacking in the intellect of the giant folk, some of them. Not all of them, but I don't see any really conversation going on with a low charisma being. Now, the seven had undertaken many commissions to assassinate. They were assassins, orc chieftains, all kinds of these things. They, the giant rulers, on behalf of the interests of the Waterdavian people. Now, the seven are renowned for slaying the giant Tyrus of the peaks near Mirabar. This was quite a long ago. Yeah, giants are dumb, aren't they? They are quite low in the. You should steal their gold so you can transmute it in your dark elven magic. So you can buy unlimited vapes in your realm. Now that is quite wise if you could come up with something of that nature. Let's see here. Now, there's also called the Swords of Lyon. They are based on a small coastal town in Lyon on the high road north of Waterdeep. This ragtag band of local toughs has done surprisingly well in a brief career, plundering at least 6 of the mage tombs in the mountains east of Lyon, slaughtering a colony of lizard men in the nearby Mere of Dead Men, and guarding a few caravans for merchants in Neverwinter. Not long ago, they lost some of their number in a bloody fight with the hobgoblins in Ironford, and who are spoiling for revenge, right? All of these wonderful groups. You come from the group called the Ethereal Blinkers. You are the ones with the mimic plugs that you are using. Uh, Now, there's also called a group called the Valiant Warriors, one of the longer lived adventuring groups. Now, this band has a large and ever changing roster over the years. They are based in Telfam. They have done much to establish trade routes and keep wilderness northeast of the inner sea safe for humans, as far as Rashemon's western borders and beyond Imitar's northern borders of Dharma. Now, followers of Timora, to one of the warriors, truly life is dangerous. So they follow a reckless path, the ladies' way, as they call it, in their devotion, to Timora. Now she's an interesting goddess. Timora is known as the goddess of luck, and she has a sister, believe it or not, called Bathsheba. Now Bathsheba is the goddess of bad luck. Now, why would anyone want to have some type of devotion to Bathsheba? I don't know. Um, she is a bad luck. They say so they don't get the bad luck, so they have a devotion to this Bathsheba. She has temples, so she is quite a following. Bathsheba is, well, Taimora is probably the most popular goddess here in Faerun. Most people, they carry her symbol around, which is a token, a coin, or something that they use for divination and things of that purposes. Yeah, there's always kind of a benefit, right? Now, as I wandered the streets, of Waterdeep, I got a little bit sidetracked there talking about adventuring companies. There are so many of them. There's so many of them within the realms. I wish this human form could have eyes. These strange goggle apparition on my head that I can interpret the interface here is quite a nuisance. Now, with my new friends, we went through Waterdeep. We went to shop to find the best prices for things we needed. A sense of awe filled my thoughts. As I prepared to leave, its wonder stood out afresh. I was like a new young shepherd from the hills, making my first trip to the city. I opened my eyes, my senses, to the city of splendors, and I luxuriated in my last hours there. The colors, my eyes were drawn from place to place so rapidly and dazzling. Oh, such a kaleidoscope of hues, the brilliant gowns and sparkling veils of noblemen, the fluttering banners of men of valor and merchant houses, the brightly painted shop windows, and the horses and carriages of the wealthy dressed full and colorful regalia. Now, even the most common folk wore a dash of color upon their person, a grey hat, a striped doublet, a bright hued cloak, or the rich brown or tan jerkin. Now, my ears were filled to bursting with the clamor. Merchants and peddlers of all stripes and stations hawked their valued wares, calling out to passerbys. Children laughed and cried as they played their games amongst the crowds. Carts, wagons, carriages clattered noisily over the cobblestones, and I overheard snippets of talk at every corner from every window. Waterdeep was alive with conversation. I'm sure some of you have experienced cities like that yourself, right? You just find yourself in awe. Maybe at some point you find your place of residence. You find yourself at awe. Oh my. There must be, we do have laser magic to fix eyes in your realm, but the grand wizards make it expensive. Yes, I would imagine some of them are quite greedy and are a nuisance. Oh my. Human gadgets are sometimes a nuisance, that's right. Like phones, for example. Yeah, I would say so. Google glasses, you have a pair, and they are a lot more functional than you expected. Well, look at that. You have all kinds of magic in your realm there. Now, when I was walking down the street, my my nose tingled with dazzling, tantalizing smells, sweetmeats, pastries mounted in abundance at the stalls, the street vendors, aroma from the kitchens of the first chefs in the realm, waffled in restaurants and inns, mixing in the salty sea air as the sword coast blows it in. Now, the perfumed scarves of passing maidens left scented trails in throngs, invisible tendrils to tug the heartstrings of lovesick lads, as I certainly was back then. And yet my senses were not truly those of the rural shepherd boy. As my legs grew weary and my patience thinned before the pushing and rushing crowds, I saw the city's benefit in its finery. Without her facial pigments and scented veils and ointments, the true vestige of the worn old woman was revealed. Beneath the bright colors, I saw the decay that comes with age on the faces of the weary people. So weary they were, and in the dry rot of the buildings, brackish revolts of waste ran along moldy cobblestones. The fringes of crowds were knotted with homeless people Yes, we have homeless people here in the Forgotten Realms. I'm sure that you do as well, right? The vapes can be a nuisance for you. I can only imagine. Uh, you can stream and read comments right in front of you if you have one of those eyeball things. Interesting. I'll have to look into such marvels of what you have that you will possess there in your magical realm that you live in. Yeah. Now, devoid of their pride, the urchins, left to their own devices, right? Devoid of their pride, they turn to their pitiful gazes and raise their gritty hands to the masses for succor. Waterdeep is a place of garnish, beauty, concealing underlying blemishes. It really is. I was, after all, ready to be away from her. After making our purchases, we wound our way to the Tipsy Nymph tavern that's in the Docks district. Here we met two or more of our company, Boblin Borbast and Lorik, who I introduced you to in the beginning. Under an enchantment of levitation, Bobum hovered above the long ale-stained bar, spinning head over tears in mid-ear. The gnome caused chicken squawks to come from the burly giant of a man sitting nearby. Now the tavern shook to the timbers, though the immense sailor seemed a little amused. Now Sam Kim Thoragar and I joined Lorik at a table in the back, sounding basso through the jeering hecklers. The dwarf merely grunted his approval of our purchases, and I felt a bit miffed. We had done quite well with the merchants, or should I say, Samkin had done. He is quite the talker. The halflings have a gift for haggling, and his method is simple. He bores a merchant to tears, telling long winded tales with no beginning and an end. So, kind of like what I'm doing here, right? Um, all merchants come to the same realization. It's worth a cut in the profits to rid of the bothersome halfling with a silver tooth grin. So Boblin finished his performance by vanishing into a cloud of sparkling motes, and the sailor banged their tankards for an approval, of course, and the place grew noticeably quiet and turned to a task of draining their mugs. You know, um, so let's see here. You used to buy a ton of war vapes every day. Oh my, I can only imagine the difficulty. Now, a toast to our journey, I said, with a wink and a grin to my comrades. Then let's gather, Esther, and we were off to Neverwinter for craving a fresh audience. The water deviant sea dogs, they're quite a nuisance, and the tales that they tell, not really. Now, after tipping our tankards back, we were off to the House of the Moon, where Estrus, Star Child, as we called her, she was a priestess of Selûne. In Waterdeep, we have so many of these temples, quite beautiful. Amongst them is the temple to Lathander, the great Morning Spires temple. Oh my, it is quite marvelous. If you ever make your way to Waterdeep, go see the spires of the Morning Temple. Yeah, the Thunder is quite a popular religion. Uh, he is he is qu- he is quite a cheerful deity. He is the morning Lord, the Lord of new life, the Lord of birth. He is quite very popular, especially amongst the paladins in Waterdeep, the Order of the Aster. Now, there's a group of adventurers that I probably shouldn't have included earlier. Waterdeep is all kinds of wonderful places. It is named Waterdeep. It is named for its outstanding natural deep water harbor. It is the most important and influential city in the north, perhaps all in Faerun. More than 100,000 people make their homes in Waterdeep. The city is huge. The Sword Coast is quite broad, right? And it welcomes overland trade and paved roads that are always patrolled. It is a safe place for merchants to do their business. Now, humans and other races come from all over the realms to earn hard coin in the City of Splendors. Over the years, successful merchants, they have set up guilds and themselves have become nobility, supporting the secretive lords of Waterdeep. These lords police the city fairly, yet with a light hand supporting the superb city guard, the soldiers, the city watch, the police. There's over 20 black robed magistrates. As a result, Waterdeep is a place tolerant of different races, religions, lifestyles, uh, sexual orientation. It has grown into really a huge eclectic city of diversity. It is also known fact that Paragon Paladin's son, the great lord of Waterdeep long ago, the commander of the Watch, whose golden spire palace, dominated the center of the city, and a good friend of mine. See, I told you I have lost my memory, but I'm bringing it back as I'm telling you these stories. I feel I am returning to my identity. I really don't know who I am, but I feel that the Archmage Kelborn Blackstaff, as we called him, it wasn't because of his private part. We're talking about a real wizard staff. Yeah, some of you have dirty minds over there on Earth, in Earth realm. Now, Blackstaff is guessed to be one of the secret lords of Waterdeep at some time. Yeah, he was a good friend of mine. That's all I remember of my good friend Blackstaff. I don't remember now the identities of the rest of the Waterdavian masked lords. It's all pure conjecture. The lords appear only in the Lord's court, hearing all cases of murder, treason, misuse, and magic in appeals from lower courts. At least 4 lords sit, sometimes 6 or 7, and rarely as many as 9. Now, Paragon, he used to chair the court and ask questions like, for the other lords would speak through him. In the chamber, the lords all wear the same robes, formless and black with black capes and masks, completely covering the head and the face. Now, these masks have featureless visages, mere crystals over the eyes. Save for Paragon, who had one, his mask was separate from. So that's just a little bit about Waterdavian politics. I mean, as I said, it is quite a wonderful place of diversity. And the Yawning Portal Tavern, I cannot recommend that more. Now, there's a person I brings a memory to mind. There's a crazy wizard down there. He is quite crazy. He is mad, and his name is Hallister. And he runs this dungeon that is always being transformed and replenished with entities from all over the Torel. And he dies, and he keeps coming back. His trick is he has created this thing that we call a mythal. A mythal is something that really bypasses all spell structures and things. It draws directly from the weave of magic. That's where I get my magic from, the great weave of Mistra. So these mythos are great things. They are like a weave unto themselves in terms of their power. So Hallister, he has found the secret to immortality. He is always being killed in some way, in his dungeon called the Undermountain. Now that is a place of great treasures. And my friends from, the in Waterdeep there, going to the Yawning Portal, they have such a good time down in that dungeon, always finding good loot, always finding things of value, and fighting a dragon or two sometimes. It is, if you've ever been to the Undermountain, the Yawning Portal, why it is called the Portal, is because the person who built the tavern upon it, his name is Dern. Uh, and when Waterdeep was being built, there's all these dwarven caverns and things below, right? So he decides to build a tavern on it. He said, well, you could come here, have an ale, go down into the portal and do your adventuring and come back. He's got this like machinery that lowers you down into the dungeon. And when you ring a bell, like, here, let me out. One time, what came out was a beholder, uh, this terrible being with one giant eye. He came right out of the Yawning portal, and old Dern there, he was just quite frightened. But this particular beholder was one of influence, and some of them are quite irrational. If you ever ran into a beholder. They are quite irrational. Just want to I beam you all the time, right? But this one, he was known as Xanathar. Oh, the tales I could tell you of Xanathar. He runs a great thieves guild down below in a place called Skullport. Oh wow, Skullport is quite the place of all kinds of criminal activity and things of that nature down there. Some of you might be interested in it. I don't know, but it's deep down in the Undermountain. But I see I'm digressing. You get me started and telling you these stories here. I just continue to go to all of these places, and in trying to recover my memory that I have lost. Maybe you can help me. Can you direct me some in the comments here? As I said, I have little memories of various places in the various realms, but I don't know who I am. And I am trying to recover my memory by telling you these stories. And it seems to be working. It seems to be working, I would have to say. And my hair keeps getting in my eyes here. Oh, a guild of thieves, you smell of profit. Oh, certainly. Certainly. We have dark elves. We have weed too. It is helpful medicine. So you think I should try uh, some of this, the magical herbs of your realm to recover my memories? It really is a tragic. You know, all I remember is dying in a very tragic way, and in my essence it began to be split in various realms. And I'm really trying to recover myself now. I found myself in this humanoid body in this land of Earth. It's quite a nuisance. I mean, this frail old body. I mean, certain parts don't work on it, right? That you would probably need with pleasure. The pains in this body. Oh man, the pains I tell you of this old frail body of this humanoid. Oh man, they are quite something. I bet they do all kinds of your magical herbs that you have in your realm, right? Uh, you Gandalf the White. That does not ring a bell. I really believe he is a wizard of a different realm. I don't think I am this Gandalf. I know that I hail from Faerun, that is the continent I live on, in a world called Ambia Toril. That is where I am from. I know that my goddess is Mistra, the goddess of magic. Let's see here. I know that Kelvin Blackstaff. I know of once living in Waterdeep for a time. I've lived in many places. Oh, they're coming to my. I have been to Baldur's Gate. Oh my! All the memories are rushing towards me now. But when you're over 1,000 years old and you have died many times, you start to lose your damn mind. It just starts going out, right? Uh, you're talking about ED. You're having problems with your extra dimensional reality. Yeah. Sometimes when you struggle with your conjuring, your extra dimensional, it is difficult, right? There's different alchemists that you could see to help you focus on, these pocket planes that you make with your ED, your extra dimensional reality. Uh, Sometimes it goes right. You have an ED night where you conjure up these extra dimensional realities. Yeah, I once went to when I became this form. I went to what is called the pharmacy, and I asked the gentleman. I thought he was an alchemist. I'm like, "What can you do for my ED?" And he brings me out some pills. I'm like, "What is it going to take a pill do for my extra dimensional problem that I'm having?" He thought it was for something else. So that was something that I had struggled with, trying to recover my memory. So I know I am from Faerun. I know that I've lived in various places. I even believe I was a lord at one time. A lord at various places, a prince perhaps. I don't know. I'm having all of these memories rushing back. In an ironic way, that guilds sometimes take the role of good guys. They usually protect the longevity of their criminal enterprise. You think so? You've had that experience with guilds, or you find they are becoming something of entrepreneurs. in their experience. Merlin does not ring a bell. No, Merlin does not ring a bell. I don't know who I am. I maybe it is not Mistress probably trying to teach me something like you maybe not to die as much. I died such a terrible experience. I remember I was in a battle with some powerful mages, and they were hovering in this great vast sh- flying airship. And I remember dueling with them with all kinds of magic, and the ship came crashing down in this great vast ancient city, and then I died. And I remember I split out to various parts and various realms here. So I'm really a simulacra, really, I guess you could say. I'm just a shadow of my true self. I don't know where in the nine hells I will be able to reconstitute myself. Let's see here. They say is a rather troublesome brand of orcs or an aggressive troll preventing their thieves guild from doing their business. They might take care of it, then ransack the town in the dead of night. Well, it's sometimes that is the way of the adventuring party, right? Especially what we I've heard the term murder hobo. Oh, what a nuisance they are! But you have to get the murder hobo plenty to do. They keep you quite out. You like, please, I want to talk to you. We are an adventuring together. You just want to murder everything. Why can't we talk? Can't we talk to the the half elven salesman that you don't like? You want to just kill him and take his things. That it is not always the in your best interest to do things. What you are saying, Ralnagun? I've never heard of a Ralnagun. Oh my! I really I am lost, uh, and I thank you for your efforts to try to help me recover my memory. Now, going back to see, I get all sidetracked here, telling you these stories, telling these stories. Now, we were at the Temple of the Moon, the Sulune. We met Star Child in a high-walled garden of a night blooming flowers and gurgling fountains. Oh my! Now she was dressed for the road, high boots of supple doeskin, black leather breeches, deep green jerkin worn over the billowing white shirt. Oh, light green cloak, matching silk riding hat. You see, I have such a memory. I have such a memory of her, you know, her appearance, really. It surprised me. For the moment, I had only seen her radiant in her fine clerical robes. Even so, her beauty is such that it is even ordinary traveling attire can hide. Now, Esther is an enchanting elven maiden, confident and wise. And I was ready to depart, and she said, and we got together. We started. She wanted to come to bring me into the temple, which I'll get to in a moment here. Now, you think that I am Azazel? I am unfamiliar with this wizard, Azazel. It does not ring any bells. Or Thantos? No, no, Thantos. I am unfamiliar with Thantos. There's there's lots of wizards that you know. Yes, I don't know who I am. I really don't. I have lost my mind. I am not senile. There's a difference. Some people suffer from a degeneration. Well, where I am from, we have you just go to the temple and they fix everything. It's really of a convenience. But this is a magical nature. The loss of my memory. As I said, it's probably intentional. Maybe Mr. wants me to learn something from you, people of Earth, in on your adventures. Now, I heard your dungeons that you enjoy going to are sewers. Now, we have sewers in the realms, but most people don't enjoy going into them because of the substances, the smells, the fecal matter. Of course, is often an inconvenience for people who like adventurings. Oh, you kiss Mordecai. Oh no, now he sounds familiar, like a wizard I might know. Yes, I do recall this great mage of old and his abilities, his powers, his lore, his oh my, he is a great, so many great spells. This really, thank you. But I am not him. Now I remember sitting down with some other gentlemen We were having from great wizards of different realms all sitting together. There was Mordekin, there was Blackstaff over here, and myself and some others. I'm just telling these stories to you is really helping me to return. Now, all was quiet in the splendid temple of Saluni. I was standing in it, and the majority of services to Saluni, they take place at night, while the shining orb that bears her name, crosses the sky. The days such as that one are spent in contemplation, in learning. No regress here, and I'm not familiar with him either. I need a soul retriever, perhaps, because I'm split in several different. I can feel like just another realm over. There's another piece of me, but I don't know how to get there. I think I must learn who I am first, before I can return back to Faerun, where I do my stomping ground, as they say. Now, Starchild, she led us into the central chamber, a huge oval room supported by immense pillars of swirling marble. A hole in the ceiling opened upon the sky. Flowering vines were songbirds, nestled in bees' buzzed, hung down through the portals into the chamber itself. Now, the high priestess was waiting for us, an ancient human woman. She was sumptuously dressed in a shimmering gown and silver threads. The symbols of Saluni were sewn into the fabric of her gown, a circle of 7 stars around a pair of feminine eyes. It is quite intoxicating to stare upon it. Now, welcome and peace to you, she said. We all come in, blah, 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 religious talk. Her hair was white, hung about in her glorious waves. Quite a dignified uh, uh, personage. And she wanted to give us a blessing for our journey from Salune, uh, for taking this great task with our good priestess friend of Salune. Um, I glanced around the party to see, looked everyone's face. Only the elven maid schooled her features to the polite attentiveness, looking around. And I was, we didn't want to disrespect this great lady. So I spoke to Tolfka, we are adventurers and we're not pilgrims. So I didn't see the need for the blessing. Uh, but, Esther insisted that we receive the blessings from Salune, and she turned slightly from us, signaling the end of this conversation. And hastily, the high priest's attention was fixed on an amber blossom of the cascading vine that was coming down. Perhaps it was a sign from the goddess. And I had many questions for the old woman, as I am sure we all did at the time, but I held my tongue. We followed Esther out of the temple without ever saying a word, not even amongst ourselves. We all had to think. We had moments ago seen like a simple journey to a land is now being dignified with all of these religious ceremonies and so on and so forth. So we rode through the streets toward the high road. Some common impulse caused our silence to shatter into a merciless string of questions for Estes. Why is Silune interested in us? Uh, and she says that she honors all of us by choosing to fulfill a vital quest. You know, I like, what are we searching for here? What do we? I don't know what is going on here. She says, "All will be revealed in its proper time. We must have faith in Salune. Will guide us through the journey." Well, I don't need to see that stuff. One thing I do know is something important awaits us at as she was telling us. She kept talking about the hill of lost souls. Oh my! Oh, I hope I get there tonight to tell you the story of this hill. Oh my! Quite the battle we experienced there. You know, I thought we were going to Neverwinter. I now with this goddess is giving us a new destination for journeying. And you might need a wall of many words to maintain a planar cohesion. Yeah, I might need that. Is I'm trying to work on all various spell work here. Now I thought, we were going to Neverwinter, and she just continued to insist about this place. We were trustworthy. These caravan wanted to guide us, and I thought it was right to continue on. Um, Lorik didn't care. He was just there for the glory of it. Everyone had their own intentions. I wanted to concentrate on earning our pay and arriving safely in Neverwinter. But sometimes, with we rode in silence basically out of the city. I didn't look back. I just wanted to get the nine hells out of there, right? Do creatures lose their souls traveling the hill, or does the hill harbor lost souls? Well, I will get to that part, I hope, at some time, to tell you of the great tale of the lost souls. Now, we'll see. Let me see. I might be able to get to it tonight. Now, along the roads, the wagons, the high mood trading coaster that we were, preparing to leave it, we joined up with them. We made our way for about an hour on to Neverwinter. Now, religion, as I was speaking of, in the realms, like ancient civilizations on Earth, the folk of the Forgotten Realms worship many different deities, gods. They all have unique personalities and spheres of influence and physical powers. The concept of multiple planes of existence allows for the places gods might rule or retreat to when they are not manifest in the Forgotten Realms. Is my name Elminster? Oh my, that sounds familiar. I maybe I am. I don't know. Uh, Maybe I am a simulacra of this Elminster fellow, but that does sound familiar. It does sound familiar. That maybe we are getting somewhere. Thank you, my friend, for helping me recuperate my lost mental capabilities. Now, the gods of the realms, also called powers, are important beings that grant magical spells to their worshippers, such as myself. I've been a wizard of Mistra. I've been a priestess of Mistra. I don't know how that is possible, but then maybe that story will be revealed. I feel at one time I was a priestess at one part in my journey of Mistra, and now I am whatever Mistra wants me to be. So I've learned a lot in the way. The gods of the realms. Now they they grow or diminish in personal power in relation to the number of mortal worshippers they possess. So we are like the resources down here. We give to them and they give us goodies like magic. Priests and priestesses in service of a god may advance only if they please their deity by remaining faithful to their gods, rulers, and aims, and acting on the god's wishes, of course. Now, the plethora of divine beings, even amongst humans, the wide variance of ideals which they represent or epitomize, have led a general way of tolerance of differences in beliefs and worship, a willingness to let strangers be. This extends to all who do not break laws amongst the general populace, the court, the soldiers, the king. Human sacrifice is considered murder in lawful realms, and the use of another's goods offerings is both theft and wanton destruction. Now, some individuals, of course, particularly, but not by any means limited to priests or priestesses, who generally believe passionately in their own deities, may not be beneficiary or tolerant of the beliefs of others. Theological arguments can grow heated. I'm sure that you struggle with that in your realm, right? We have our fundamentalists, you have yours, right? Well, it is wise to learn the religions of any persons. One must trust, do business with the adventurers they wish, right? It is often an affront to the highest order to ask such information openly. Now, some people have been known to attack individuals inquiring about their faith. I mean, quite hostile, I say. The people that do that, right? Oh my! Look at you, get me telling stories of all of the wonders that we hear in the Forgotten Realms. You like Mystra. She is a wonderful goddess of magic. Now, she has died many times. Gods in the Forgotten Realms can die. Um, the Even humans can become Mystra. It is all coming back to me. Yes, Mystra was once known as an adventurer, a friend of mine in Waterdeep. I remember now. Her name was Midnight. Oh, she was quite an adventurer. Oh my. She had such a thing for another person who became a deity, Kellamvor. He was a mortal man at one time as well. That was very pleasing. Him and Midnight. Oh, I their love was quite the story. Well, but that's a tale for another time. See, um, yes, no, I don't know what I am. I don't know. I could be a bard. Maybe at some time I was a bard in my journeys. Oh my! Now I'm riding in a bumping, jostling wagon, right? Please forgive the unsteady hands as I'm going through. There were 12 wagons in the High Moon Trading Coaster. We call that, I'm going to talk about coasters in a little bit. The majority have remained in Waterdeep, as did Goldolf Merman and the Caravan Master. Goldolf's son, Fairlin, he was in charge of our expedition. I suspect that this was a test of a young merchant's skill and ingenuity. For Farland one day to take his father's place as a caravan master, I'm quite sure. Quite a responsibility for such a young man to be a caravan master. Our cargo consisted mostly of exotic spices, blue wine to be traded with Neverwinter for the water clocks and colored lamps the city was famous for now. Um, After doing the trading, Fairland, he returns to Waterdeep. He returns to his father, of course. We are not going to be accompanying him on the trip, and I am certain that Farland will have little trouble hiring trustworthy guards in Neverwinter to replace the Seekers. Now, 18 other guards share our duties. We're all human warriors. They have chosen their work in Korea, obviously. Now, my companions and I didn't fit in with the tactum attention to the duty. After our, just our nature, I guess, they are not unfriendly, merely reserved, the gentlemen, warriors. Uh, we will be accepted among their ranks, maybe so, maybe not. As the day pass. Oh my. You give up your dark elven mind knows no names. Yeah, well, I'm sure it will come to me in my old wizard years, right? Oh, this is the first time, that I've witnessed workings of merchant companies firsthand. I never traveled with a coaster before, but it was quite something. All of these wagons riding through, having our campfires at night, surrounding by all these wagons. Now, merchant companies, they are the lifeblood of the kingdoms in the realms. It's trade. Through trade that many of the nations have come to be, right? Through this process of trade. Now, the keys to trade, there are various merchant companies. The merchant companies of the realms are both numerous, they are ever changing, I guess you could say, in the roster, really. Most trade goods travel in caravans for safety, and the great majority of caravans are run by independent caravan masters who display no badge or colors. Uh, the caravans of Arm are so marketed as those of the Zentarum, really. Now, large companies are called prakos, are created by the permanent augmentation of a smaller caravan company, usually to the control of the trading route. Now, alliances of small independent companies into caravans for safety are called coasters. Now, that is what I've been traveling in a coaster. Now, some of the famous coasters of the realms. See, I have all this history. Look at, I'm like a walking tome here for you. I am the tome that never ends. The wizard continues to speak of his struggles and lifestyles of the dungeons. Now, There's the Dragon Eye Dealing Coaster in Klimba with many bases in Eredor and Ertl. This is the oldest of the coasters. It was begun by two merchant brothers who were tired of shipping things overland to avoid the inner sea pirates. Only those loose bandits along the roads as well, west of Westgate. There's the High Moon Trading Coaster, headed by Guldolf Merriman, who was the patron of our journey. It goes mostly through the Sword Coast, overland routes from its bases in Scrumbarrow and in Waterdeep. It carries everything, but has exclusive supply rights to Corf, the blue wine, as we know in Waterdeep, and certain exotic spices as far as east. It's colors of white and crescent black starred ovals. There's also which is really famous in the north, is the Seven Suns trading coaster. The group's name celebrates the widely celebrated partners of this wonderful coaster. They converted their own small merchant companies into regional bases, provided horses, drafts, oxen, wagons, hiring local guards. This coaster provides the leanest of guards and worst wagons. I mean, they're quite stingy on the repairs. Oh my. You find me to be a wise wizard. Well, I don't know. I don't know my stats. I'm trying to find it out. Now, the Six Coffins Market Praikos, named for the six wealthy merchants who sponsored it. The Praikos is run by the Thelv Barnhild Beradosk, and his base is in the city of Waterdeep, Silvery Moon. Oh, wonderful place. And Pradapal, and also in Sagant. It is a large, efficient, and prosperous. The only four of the six original partners are still alive. And there's the Surfeit Trademasters, headed by a council of merchants and based in Scaramble. The Sherfeet specialized providing expert guides, escorts, prostitutes, and guards, their own caravans, overland travers. They have their own pimps. Their rates are high. They only have the best kind of prostitutes. Not that I know from experience. I just know from my adventures. I don't feel the need uh, to delve in such revelry. I am epic. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you all being here and listening to my tales and trying to help me to recover my memory. All I see is Dungeon Master here. I don't know what I really am. It has all been taken from me. You are a very wise wizard in your opinion, and I have met some very wise wizards. Oh my, you sound like you come from a council of wizards and their wisdom that has involved you in your practice of the various magical arts. Now there's the thousand head train coaster. Yeah, this all coming back to memory. Look at this. All of these coasters. Where is this coming from? It is run by a former adventurer. Now, Braven Brackenats, from his stronghold east of Riverton. The coaster operates on a single route from Waterdeep to the hills far, from Scaramble, Bardosk, Erebor, Propable, Erebel, and Esambra. Its name refers to the thousands, obviously, of small 112 wagon outfits that benefit the coaster. Then there's the Trail Lords. Oh my, a mysterious, pompous outfit. They are quite a nuisance, whom are ruled by the Thay. Oh, the Thay. Now, they are some evil wizards, the Red Wizards, as they are called. They are quite a nuisance. They have some lich lord that rules them. Is quite the tyrant. A lot the liches of Thay. They're always into power. Quite a nuisance to other wizarding folk. We try to stay away from the Thayans. They are you usually in like Waterdeep. You say Thayan with you spit on the ground. They are kind of like the drow that are on the surface. but they are humanoid lich people and mages and things. That brings to memory. Oh my, look at this. The Lich Lord, you are a lover of the Lich Lord. Now this brings to me. Oh, I knew a chap named Edwin. Oh my, he was always out to outdo me. This Edwin character. I one day Mistra taught me a lot when she changed me into a woman for a while. As I said, I was a one of her priestesses for a time. Now, Edwin, he was quite the nuisance. He was always trying to be like me. And I said, "Well, you want to be like me, Edwin?" We had ran into him in Arm. He had been running some criminal organization there. Arm is a wonderful place. If They have a wonderful place where you can buy all kinds of things from all over Torre. They have this place called it's in the Joaquin's Promenade. It is an adventure mart. They have stuff from there, any type of realm, all kinds of equipment and weapons and fiery swords. One of my favorite swords is the Flame Tongue. You lights up. It's a wonderful resource because I can't see in the dark. I mean, I'm a human. I might be a powerful wizard, but I have to use a lantern, I or a torch, or I cast a light spell, then I can see. I have to do all of these things. Light spells are easy. It's a cantrip. I can just light it up, and there I am. Everything is lit up now. I'm making my way through the caverns and things now. Oh my, wizard, you were in Vietnam too. My, oh, he was stationed there with a Forrest Gump fellow. Oh, he sounds like quite the adventurer of your Vietnam place. Oh my. Yeah, all of these wonderful trading companies, right? You're bringing all of these memories out here. I turned Edwin into a lady in because he was being a nuisance. They had this horrible criminal organization there that they were called the Shadow Thieves. Oh my, they are no longer around. They had a they had an unfortunate fate, really. The Shadow Thieves. Uh, and Edwin was doing all kinds of business with him, and I turned him into a woman. I had a polymorph scroll. I'm like, well, I'm going to give it to you. You want to be like me, Edwin? I'm going to transform your private parts. So I cast the polymorph spell, and Edwin became a woman to teach him a lesson, teach him a little bit of human. And we called him Edwina. Now I don't know where he has been. If he is still Edwina, he might be Edwin again. I don't know. He always wants to be like me. But the Thayans, they tend to live long because of their lich. They are really into that lich stuff. All right. Now, let's see you get me all distracted. I tell you all of these other adventures and things. I have been to so many places in the realms, but I don't know who the hell nine hells I am. Trying to figure out this great mystery, this identity of myself. Now we began to earn our pay in earnest while traveling, along the mountains there. You have the Sunset Mountains as you're traveling to Water, Neverwinter. Now, we're climbing along a very rocky hillside. It was here the ambush was laid for us, right? All of these things happen. When you have an adventure given to you by a goddess like Selune, the things happen, right? Things happen. It started as a trickle of stones rolling back the slope, and suddenly erupted into an avalanche of boulders. One of the wagons was swept away. I could still hear the screams of the horses. Oh my, that tumbled and were crushed. Rolling logs, their branches shaved at sharp points like spears, followed, blocking the road to the front and the rear of the caravan. Now, we were sadly trapped, and I saw Esther scrambling over the loose rocks towards the crushed wagon. One wrong step, and she would have found herself buried in tumble to her death, one or the other. Now I jumped from my skittish horse and I raced to her, of course, because I am a gentleman. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Takshish is alive." I don't, who in the nine hells is this Takshish? Well, he was the driver of the wagon. I did not get familiar with her. I guess she did. Um, I quickly and carefully uncovered him while Esther used her healing magic to stop his bleeding because she was, a cleric. She had all this magical power of slooning. And thanks to her bravery, he would lie. He would remain alive, right? Now, we have like humanoids, you can always bring them back. You can heal them in the realms. There's no um, troubles unless there's curses upon you or something. Even a curse, you have the right ingredients. You can get it removed at the right temple. So, but humanoids, they live a certain lifestyle, and at a certain age, that is when it all ends. You cannot bring them back. Humans, by the gods have delegated, you only live this long, and then it is over with. Now we had no time to give thanks. The next moment, I heard Thorthagar telling orders, "Dismount, stand up, fight, you dogs." And I looked up, and beyond the road was a half dozen ogres lopping down the steep hillside. That not very smart. So there, uh, we our men heard the wisdom of our leader, leapt in off our horses, which was dangerous at the treacherous footing that we were on with our attackers. We fired our crossbows. The guards they responded. They were seasoned soldiers indeed. In a volley of bolts whirled into the charging ogres. One of the creatures pierced through both legs, lost its footing, and tumbled down the rocky slope. The ogre did not get up again, and all the others struck with bolts, but they kept coming. "Draw your swords and stand fast," thundered Thorgar once. Again, and the guards responded like veterans, staring bravely in death's face. Though we had them outnumbered, ogres are huge. Oh my. Ogres are such a nuisance, and they're low of intellect. They crashed into our ranks like juggernauts. The hill giant, first among them, a man screamed out with their dying breaths. The smell of hot blood and the sound of clashing steel drove the horses into a frenzy. With nowhere to go, the wagons became hopelessly entangled. All was in chaos. I tried not to let the noise and confusion befuddle me, and I concentrated upon a spell. Shh. The giant raised his spiked club high, preparing to bring it down upon Thorgar's head. I let loose a volley of magical bolts. Shh. The giant club went into shards, suddenly disarmed. The huge creature yelled in surprise, and Thorgar took his moment to strike his mighty blow. And the giant bellowed once again, this time utter fear and rage, hearing the leader's cry of pain. The ogres, they faltered, the guards pressed the attack, and another ogre fell with their blades. It was quite the battle. But, I saw Samkin stumble before a looming ogre, and in horror I realized there was nothing I could do to help the halfling. But in the next instant, a stream of sparkling motes passed over Samkin, striking the ogre in the face. And Boblum, the gnome, had been invisible. Confused, the creature fell to its knees. Here, the gnomes, he has like an invisibility ring. He just flash, he is gone. Flashing his silver-toothed grin, Samkin was upon the ogre's back in a heartbeat, driving a dagger deep into the flesh. It died swiftly. Now vastly outnumbered and losing their gusto for fight, the remaining three ogres were slaughtered, having suffering the wounds from Lork's axe and Thorthgar's sword. The hill giant took 3 strides backwards and promptly fell on its rump. It sat stunned, bleeding heavily. bleeding so much. Oh, the giant blood has such a stench to it. And the moans of the injured, shuffling of the horses, distant and quiet. I remember the loud mechanical sound of crossbows being wound up. And then in a deep convoy, Thorgard ordered, "Fire!" And then it all came. Oh, I need to quench my thirst here. Oh, my. You are all hearing all of these tales of an old man, right? Pronounced Obi Kani, very existence is literally torture. Oh, my. What kind of wizards do you have over there? It's nice to be able to chat without people spamming the chat. Yeah, it is good, right? It is good to be in this realm. Yeah, the poor hill giant. All right, humans and non-humans, you must go. You need to sell some mushrooms. Oh my. And weed and LSD, a realm called Minecraft. Oh my. Taurine acid witch of the northern bog. Look at that. Interesting. Solar and dryads are some of the, if not purest creatures to have merged a chaos demon spirit. It's basically a ghost rider. I'm unfamiliar with such magic. We have certain rules that magic works by here in where I am in the Forgotten Realms. Let's see, I'm almost finished with today's storytelling. Look at this. I want to tell you before I go about the goblin races. They are quite a stain upon the realms. The goblin races, also called the goblinkin or goblinoids, and they include all creatures such as kobolds, goblins, orcs, and hobgoblins. Now, some sages extend this definition to ogres, bugbears, trolls, and half orcs. In general, they are uncivilized bands of sentient creatures that prey on other beings, raiding and pillaging when they stealing quietly when they cannot. The goblin kin have existed in the realms as long as the elves. For elven histories mention the various creatures as brutish invaders harassing the borders of their realms. The goblin races were involved in genocidal wars with dwarves for mountain peaks and with men in the lowlands. Usually, the goblin kin have been repulsed or crushed by many dwarven halls now molder in orcish hands, unfortunately. Now, the goblin races are generally under-organized. That is their weakness, and under-equipped, and would have been wiped out several times over, not for their rapid breeding cycles. Oh man, talk about hung like a goblin, and their strong instincts for self-preservation. Faced with overwhelming odds, goblin can they waver and retreat. For this, they are tagged as cowardly. It's usually added to their names. But the goblin races, they tend to be cruel, evil, and malicious, aping humans in dress and title, but with a slant towards harm as opposed to help. Now, the greatest orc citadels are governed by a king, a royal court, in a rough tapestry in Cormia, for instance. Similarly, the goblins living near Waterdeep fear lords and rule with disgrace and manner of the lords of Waterdeep. Now, despite their history, some members of these races, particularly half orcs, brave the well deserved hostile attitudes of the rest of the world. To seek an honest living, they are expectation to the general character of these savage creatures. However, you know, I am digressing, am I not? Uh, Telling you these tales of these experiences of mine. And it's been a great pleasure as I arrive at the capacity of my spirits here. Kwanama is on a quest to regain his original spirit, but he has found the dark necromancy wizards who turned him into an abomination. Oh my, necromancy. That is quite the magic. Sometimes it is used for good, sometimes it is used for bad. But I have reached the end of my telling of tales today. I only know myself as Dungeon Master. One day I will know myself as my true self. and I look to all your help to aid me in the future. I bid you farewell.